Top of the morning, Pacific Standard timers and other top members. This is a official West Coast League, so all advances from here on out will be posted in Pacific Standard Time out of respect for our Western expansion. It is Conference Championship week, and we've got some big time drama. I wouldn't say big time drama. Khalil handled it well, but let's open up with talking about that. Okay, so yesterday, if you missed it, Isaac Brown, Ole Miss halfback, has been suspended for the Big 12 Conference Championship game. Why? Well, he averaged well over 300 yards and 5.5 touchdowns in a blowout game against the CPU. And the rule that he broke was under stat caps. You'll see a little verbiage that says CPU games are not for stat padding. And egregious stats have and will lead to removal from the league. Now, obviously, we're not just going to boot Khalil. He's a good sim user, and no users were harmed in games here. But, however, I posted a picture of those stats and what they look like, and some key things came out in terms of, hey, the competition committee is starting to look at this. What's going to happen? So, first thing to notice is the scores. Every single one of these games was a deficit higher than 30 points. One of them was a 53-point deficit. One was a 71-27 game. So the game was very very much not a close game to the point where Isaac Brown's skills were required. In 3 of these games, he had over 50% of the yards. Now, granted, the rule is a halfback having 70% of the yardage. And yes, that is more for user games to stop people from using one particular player. But, when we're looking at this all encompassing, we're seeing an absurd rate of touchdowns. We're seeing an absurd rate of touches. We're seeing scoring well into the fourth quarter with that starter. And it just gets to the point where we are not keeping this a sim league. And why does this affect us and why? Well, first of all, Heisman does count towards program tradition. And we feel like, that should be earned fairly. Also, there's dev trait increases, and we don't know exactly what causes a dev trait increase. But we want to make that fair for everybody. And when I'm looking across the league at all the guys that were cheesing the CPU or not cheesing the CPU or whatever those cases may be, it's just, this was the one that stood out at a significant level, right? You can have good games against the CPU. But this was 3 really, really egregious ones, and then one that wasn't nearly as bad, but contextually with the others, scoring 5 touchdowns is still a lot. So, anywho, he's going to serve the suspension, and hopefully we all learn something from it. Let's talk about the oh, and then second, a official CM team apology to the UCLA Bruins due to a injury. The injury's not being turned off advance. He lost not 1 but 2 key players, and missing those guys in a must-have-it game led to him missing the Pac-12 championship. Many might say he deserved to miss it from the Utah game and got bailed. So maybe karma worked itself out. I'm kidding. However, hopefully, as the 7th-ranked team and only losing to Oregon and Arizona State, hopefully that puts him in a scenario where he can at least compete in the college football playoffs, which he'll still be missing those players, but postseason plays fun. So, anywho, we have got the ACC championship, or the conference championship week coming up soon, and we have a good feel of what those games are going to look like. So, first of all, ACC, North Carolina, 7-0, 12-0 on the year, the number 4 ranked team in the nation. This is a good football team, guys. This is a good football team. Points differential of 350. Only allowed 207 points all year long. Let's see who he will play, because Florida State and Pitt are tied, but the winner was Florida State. So it looks like Florida State has earned a postseason play, 5-2, and a head-to-head win against Pitt. Shout out to Pitt, finishing 3rd in the ACC, win over Clemson. Shout out Ricky, because year 1 was rough, and last year was rough. Ricky's back, guys. And don't think that this is an easy team. He's playing a unique style offense, and it seems to have caused people some fits. I don't think he makes postseason play at 8-4. Florida State needs postseason play. How did their first matchup go against each other? He lost 47-14 at home. So FSU certainly going to have to figure things out. North Carolina's got a very well-rounded defense, good edge rushers, fast corners that can keep up with most things. Warren is obviously Warren. We don't even have to dive into that. A shifty running back. Yeah, so this is going to be a good matchup. I do think Warren is the favored team here. However, neutral ground, you never know what could happen. And Florida State, he can play with the best of them, but he can also lose to the worst of them, including the Duke CPU. So we shall see how this goes. Let's go to Big 12. So we already talked about the suspension, and it's going to be a rematch. Ole Miss is going to be taking on A&M. This is a game that got played very, very recently. It's a rematch of a game that got played recently. A 58-55 win by Ole Miss. Simmons did kind of dominate in the air, 3 passing touchdowns, 374 yards. Reed, 3 touchdowns himself. But it was the run game. 276 yards on the ground by Ahmad Hardy, the transfer, 3 touchdowns to go with it, and then 182 and 2 touchdowns for Brown. Obviously, Brown will be missing, so it'll probably be on either Damian Taylor, the silver shifty elusive bruiser with 89 speed, or Cam Cook with silver sidestep 90 speed. So can he replicate the run game? Can he find a way to pass without the assistance of the run game against a really good defensive user? These two guys have been battling it out. No doubt both of them are going to make the college football playoffs, as they each only have 1 loss apiece. So I do think in this scenario I'm going to favor A&M. He doesn't have to do anything different. He gets to kind of play a little bit more against the pass, maybe not worry too much about the run game, and I think that might be something that Khalil might struggle to overcome. So that being said, I could absolutely see Ole Miss coming out and playing well, but we talk about points allowed, 272, the only user in the Big 12 to allow less than 340 points, and that's 270 for A&M. So big game there. On to the Big 10. We're going to have Ohio State, number 6 Ohio State taking on number 1 Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a singular loss on the season, and that singular loss was to Texas A&M. That was Ohio State. Where's my Notre Dame? It didn't click on Notre Dame. There it is. That was to Ohio State. That's what I thought. That's why I was like, A&M. Yeah, so they played earlier in the year, and it was a 21-point third quarter by the Ohio State Buckeyes, which included a big interception and I believe a fumble recovery. They were able to keep the run game under 38. 2 running backs ran the ball primarily for this team, Notre Dame, and they both were kept under 38 yards. That is going to be a major difference. These guys struggled to run against each other. Tavian St. Clair threw for 4 touchdown passes. We got some elite receivers. You got Jaden Greathouse out here. He dropped 171 in the first matchup. And then, of course, Jeremiah Smith coming back from his suspension. So, big stuff there. So, always fun to see these good rematches, these tough rematches. Penn State and Washington are finishing up their game as this is being recorded. But an overall good season. I think everybody's going to end up with a positive record besides Tennessee. Tennessee figuring some stuff out, but definitely a good football team nonetheless. Conference USA. We've got Oklahoma at 8-4, and they're gonna play Syracuse. We will be force winning Syracuse there in the, or TCU. We'll force win one of those guys. We'll have to figure out what I can do here to probably give TCU a loss this week if they're playing a game. Let me see what I can do. Okay, we're giving Syracuse the win this week, and then we'll give Syracuse the win over Oklahoma. Hopefully, we don't need any user in the college football playoffs. They're unranked. They shouldn't jump too high. All right, on to the Pac-12. So Arizona State versus Oregon. So this will be interesting because back to the other suspension, Raleek Brown got suspended, served his suspension against Oregon, and they were down 52-3 at halftime. 52-3 at halftime was the deficit. That game ended 66-19. Ahard, just fantastic performance by Dante Moore. 4 touchdown passes. They ran the ball solid, not like elite, but enough to get the job done, but really just able to throw. And then you look at what was going on with P-Town. Well, Levitt was throwing picks. He threw 4 picks in total in the game. He does have Kanye Udo, who is a good, silver shifty, or sorry, gold shifty, gold head first, and gold road dog. Like, he has an elite backup running back, and he ran for 101 yards. But the difference is this passing game. It's just not as lethal, or was not as lethal when, with what Raleek does. If you watch a lot of P-Town, he goes into these quads, empty bunch, just empty, and he's got a lot of vertical and a lot of, really tough 3 levels of routes. When you take away the fastest guy on the team and a guy that he's kind of relied on there, really put him in different spots. The ability after the catch with Platt shifty for Raleek. So that being said, he's back this week, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. 2 really, really solid teams. Oregon's only loss on the year is to yours truly, to Utah. But he has allowed 179 points on the season. I think that might be the lowest I've seen so far. So Oregon, elite defense, able to play offense with the best of them, a 99 overall defense. So I think I'm going to go. I do think I'm going to lean P-Town. And the reason I'm going to lean P-Town is there's a confidence that P-Town has, and he doesn't care about getting beat like that. In fact, if you look at his schedule, he got beat 70-30. His 2 losses on the year are 70-30 and 66-19. The thing is, when P-Town doesn't work, it doesn't work. But also, he is the only win over Ole Miss. He won't beat Ole Miss 46-30. So I do think P-Town can hang. I do think P-Town's going to win. So this is a challenge for A-Hard. Let's go get it. All right, and then in the SEC, we will have the 11-1 Georgia Bulldogs taking on. Shit. Is it Texas or is it LSU? I think it's LSU gets the nod here at 5-2 with wins over both Bama and Texas. So, assuming that that's the case, what happened in their first matchup? They lost to Georgia 49-38. Obviously, this is a battle of the 2 of the top running backs in the league. Nate Frazier was held under 100 yards to 86 and 2 touchdowns against LSU. Caden Durham dropped 132 yards and 2 touchdowns and added a touchdown in the air. So these guys have more than proven that they can compete in one of the hardest conferences in the division. It really is going to come down to, I think, who takes advantage of the freebies. I do think that some of these 2 users, they are prone to give each other some freebies. I look at the Florida game, 59-52 by LSU. A high scoring game. They have the ability to play really, really good defense. Texas, they won 51-17. They beat, they had they held me to under 20, under 30 points. Like, LSU can play good defense, but also sometimes they just give up a ton of points. I do believe when I'm watching Georgia, the biggest thing is when I say freebies, how many games this year has he thrown 5 interceptions, right? Florida State, a ton of interceptions thrown against Florida. He threw 2 picks. Like he throws a lot of interceptions. So is Travi going to play it safe? He's got the best team in the league. He's got the best running back. He's I would say the surefire Heisman winner, but definitely the best true player in the league right now. They're 11-1 for a reason. His only loss even came to Alabama in a 38-35 game. So I don't know who I'm going to take here. I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go Georgia. I think Travi does the right things and says, hey, fuck it, I'm running the football relentlessly. So I don't know where this puts us on all of our picks, but, UNC was my pick. A&M was my pick. I didn't pick between Notre Dame and Ohio State. I'm going to go. This was such a good game last time. I don't want to pick between these 2. These are great. But I'm going to go with Ohio State here. I'm going to go Ohio State here. I think Jeremiah, he's kind of really, really hit his stride and figure out how to use Jeremiah Smith well. But I would not be surprised if Juice made it work. Juice also just struggled a little bit to beat Steele. Not that, Steele beat me, but I also think that, think Harp's got the advantage. I've got P-Town over Oregon, ASU over Oregon, and of course Georgia. So that's it for this week's Top of the Morning. We'll see you guys next time.